Hey, everybody, welcome back to another Motivation Monday podcast for Monday, August 6th, 2018. Hope you had a great weekend and hope you are staying cool. I know, at least in my neck of the woods, it's been extremely hot and humid. And I've just been sweating and practicing all weekend, but that is the way that it goes this time of year. And just got to carry through, get on to the other side. So, this week I wanted to talk about something that is kind of an age old debate when it comes to practicing jazz music, and that is whether to write stuff out and actually look at it while you're practicing or do everything in your head. And this is something that you'll hear a million different opinions on depending on who you talk to about it. And I've been kind of guilty of waffling back and forth throughout my career of practicing and teaching. And I think this might be a good opportunity to kind of set the record straight as I've been experimenting with a lot of different stuff. So I'm of the stance these days that it honestly is a little bit of both. So I'm a very visual learner. I have definitely strong tendencies towards understanding stuff when I see it, and things make more sense to me when I can actually see it written out or comprehend it visually. So, that being said, I do think there's some value, at least for myself, in writing some things out in all 12 keys or learning things in such a way that I'm really looking at it and getting a picture in my mind that I can use when I'm actually playing stuff, right? Now, I'm also a firm believer that we shouldn't be doing that for everything, because when we are improvising, it's true that we're not looking at anything, right? We're trying to come up with all of this stuff that we're going to be playing on a non-visual basis. But I do think that it has some merit in the practice room. So let me give you a little bit of an example of what I've been doing lately and kind of how I've been trying to achieve a mix of both visual and non-visual cues to help me get better at improvising. So I'm a person that I never used to do something like, if I'm trying to learn some piece of vocabulary or something like that, in the past, I've never really written it down. What I'll do is maybe I'll write it out in one key and then I'll just figure it all out in my head going forward in all the other keys. But I've been experimenting a little bit lately of writing some of my vocabulary or some of my ideas, actually writing it out in all 12 keys and having it in front of me. And I've actually discovered a few really, really useful things by coming at it from that angle. So a couple of the things that I find are that once we get our mental process out of the way and we're actually looking at it, at something written out in all 12 keys, or a transcribed solo actually written out instead of just in our heads, it does something for my technique where I can put all of the mental struggle behind me and I can actually just play through something without much effort, right? Now, this does a couple of things for me. It starts to just get me used to what things feel like in certain keys, particularly the more difficult keys. I find that just being able to execute without having to go through this Herculean effort of trying to sort of intellectualize everything that's going on and simply just playing it, that does something for me in a different way, and my technique gets better. Now, the other thing that I find is that when I do write the stuff out in all 12 keys, I find that I start absorbing the different sounds in the different keys just through osmosis. Now, there's something to be said for learning through osmosis, in my opinion. You have to work on this stuff for much longer, and you have to do it more repetitiously. So you have to do many more times through all 12 keys to learn things by osmosis, but it does work. So if you're willing to put in that time and actually play through the 12 keys, 50 times in a row, I do think that you may actually have the same results of absorbing this stuff as you would if you were trying to do it all mentally. So those are some major advantages to actually learning visually, is that it removes a little bit of the mental strain from us and allows us to just go about learning in a different way, which is just repetition and really trying to hear what's going on and achieving a higher level of technique, in my opinion. Now, on the other side, learning things actually without ever writing it out, that kind of exercises a different muscle. So I find that if I learn some piece of vocabulary or something like that, and I never write it down, I have to do it less times to get it worked into my playing. But the disadvantage is that I feel like I can just never reach the level of technical proficiency, playing things at fast tempos, all those types of concerns that are very, very real concerns when it comes to actually working this stuff into our playing and being able to perform it at a high level. I can never reach that upper level of proficiency when I'm doing it all in my head. And it's just because I'm thinking too hard about it. I never saw it on a piece of paper, so I'm just not able to execute at a high level. So my solution lately has been to do kind of a hybrid of both. So maybe what I'll do is I'll initially learn what I'm trying to work on without writing it down. And I'll do that really, really hard mental work, burn all those brain cells. And then after I feel pretty comfortable and I can do it in all 12 keys, I will actually write it down on paper, and I'll complete the last part of the exercise by reading it and getting it to those really, really fast tempos and repeating it over and over and over and over again with a play along, so that my ears get really, really into what it sounds like, and I'm absorbing it on two different levels. So I don't know if this will help some of you, but maybe taking that hybrid approach to working it out upstairs in your brain and then writing it down and working it out visually, doing both, I think might really help. And it might exercise both sides of the brain, the visual and kind of that mental visualization side of things. Now, this might all be nonsense too. Sometimes I get to the end of these Monday motivations and I wonder if I've just been rambling for 6 or 7 minutes, but I'm hoping that this will help you to sort out some of that. The other thing to think about is whether you are a very strong visual learner or not. And if you are a strong visual learner, then I think that writing stuff out could help you a lot more than somebody that the visual side of things doesn't come into play as much for them. All right, so give me some feedback. Let me know if you are more of a visual learner, if you find that writing stuff out helps or doesn't help. I'd be really, really interested to hear about your learning style. All right, have a great week, and we will see you on Friday with a regularly scheduled episode. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.